Crypto Chat by Huobi Research. So here we aim to spark conversations on the latest topics in crypto every week and give our perspective on the latest things happening. So, I'm your host, Jet, and with me, my colleague, Henson. So we're part of Huobi Research, part of the Huobi Group, where we're the think tank arm, where we produce a number of different types of research articles talking about the different latest happenings. So for you guys, again, be sure to follow us at at Huobi_research on Twitter, or also at huobiresearch.medium.com, where we have a number of different latest research reports. I think the latest one that we had is the one talking about what we'll be talking about today, talking about the optimism and the layer two boom that is just around the corner, in our opinion. And as usual, be sure to leave your questions in the channel, and we'll get to them at the very end of this chat. And with that said, just to note, not everything said here is not investment advice and does not represent the opinion of Huobi or Huobi Research. These are our personal takes. So again, not investment advice. So with that said, so let's kick it off, Hanson, on the topics this week.
Yep, thank you for the introduction. So here are the topics for today. And make sure to stay until the end to hear us talk about the Huobi Candydrop event, where one participant have a chance to win up to 1,000 USDT. We will also be giving out a Candydrop airdrop password for viewers of this live stream today to participate in a coupon raffle, where 20 winners will be selected to win a sure win coupon. And so to participate in this raffle, we have to have an average transaction volume of 100 USDT in the past 3 days. Then you need to retweet our Candydrop event post, follow Huobi Research on Twitter, and use the airdrop password to fill in the Google Docs. So let's start off with some quick market updates.
Yeah. So in terms of market update wise, Bitcoin right now is trading around 31.5K, ETH just under 2K. Yesterday the S&P and Nasdaq both saw pretty significant bounce. With the S&P going up 2.5%, Nasdaq 3.3. I think that's right now we're at month end, so a lot of monthly rebalancing, as well as the fact that recently I think what you're starting to already see is that there's some Fed members in the U.S. that are currently kind of backtracking a little bit in terms of their more hawkish stance. So as a result, I think right now we're seeing markets pump a little bit. It remains to be seen whether or not this is just a bear market rally. At this time, it remains to be seen. So everyone definitely still be mindful of that and just be careful. So with that said, as Henshin mentioned on the topics today, we'll be going through the optimism and layer two boom, YGG and Merit Circle, Goblintown, and StepN. So with that said, let's start off with optimism. So just to backtrack a little bit. So on optimism, last month on the 27th of April, Optimism announced that its token OP will be launching sometime pretty soon. Of which, as you can see with the breakdown, 19% of it will be airdropped to the community, and of that, there will be 5% airdrop at the very beginning. So the conditions are as you see on the right, where basically if you've interacted on Optimism, or you participated as a multi-sig signer, a DAO voter, or you donated on Gitcoin. Basically a number of different ways, basically to basically have a stake in this protocol. So just to back up, I think the question is with this airdrop, what is Optimism? And I think it's good to understand first of all, what a layer two is. So right now, as everyone's aware, right? So ETH, the main issue and the reason why I think last year we saw a significant amount of traction with alternative layer ones such as Avalanche and Solana and Luna was because of the fact that ETH was just very expensive to use, and it priced out a lot of people from transacting on the base layer. So, with a rollup, what it basically does is it's a solution to basically process transactions on the Ethereum network off chain, and that helps improve the network speed and lower the fees and basically improving scalability for ETH as a whole. So, Optimism is one of those layer twos in terms of rollups. And there's mainly two different distinct types, right? So optimism, it falls under the type called optimistic rollup, where basically, to achieve this, what they do is they would batch transactions off chain, and instead of basically assuming that every transaction needs to be validated, they assume that there is no back actors, and what they do instead is that once these transactions are processed, they have a system where basically to incentivize good behavior and make sure that all the transactions sent through on Optimism are not basically bad actors. They will be rewarded from this type of system to make sure the roll up is instant. So so right now I would say Hanson, I think right now Optimism is the first one to roll up with its own token OP. I think right now there's a significant amount of discussion around the corner about whether or not there's a layer two boom because of the fact that right now, as everyone's aware, there's a bear market and airdrop is good for everyone, right? So yeah, so the other layer two that also runs on optimistic rollup is Arbitrum, which has a significantly more amount of traction, I would say, where basically Arbitrum right now stands at around 1.6 billion in TVL compared to Optimism, where there's only around 270. And this is, I would say, mainly not really due to the fact that there's a significant difference. It's just, I would say, that in terms of applications rolled out so far on the different two layer twos, you're seeing a lot more people use Arbitrum because of the fact that I think it's just a lot easier in terms of the user interface compared to Optimism. So, and the main difference between I would say optimistic rollups and ZK rollups are the fact that for CK rollups, instead of having this good behavior, having to be checked for optimistic rollups, ZK rollups basically verify everything cryptographically at the same instant that the transactions are rolled up and then processed. So as a result, it's a lot quicker compared to optimistic rollups. And I think a lot of people are now, kind of more anticipating the CK rollups that are, hopefully going to launch sometime this year. With the main, I would say the main one to watch to be Starkware, where you're actually seeing a lot of these major protocols, such as DYDX, which has over $1 billion in TVL, which is a perpetual exchange, actually running on the StarkX system. So I would say definitely in terms of rollups, rollups is the name of the game I think for Ethereum overall because of the fact that right now everyone's aware of the fact that ETH needs to be scaled, or else it wouldn't gain the traction that it's needed to really gain the further next leg of adoption.
Okay. So do you think other layer two protocols will follow OP's path and release their own governance tokens in the future? Like I heard that many people are already building transaction volumes on Arbitrum and ZK for a possibility of getting their token airdrop.
Yeah, so I would say definitely. I mean, if there's definitely been a lot of airdrop farming. So what airdrop farming is basically people, utilize these layer twos to just run one or two transactions in hopes of the fact that they will qualify for the yet to be announced requirements to get the airdrop. I think definitely what you saw with Optimism was a lot of people try to game the system, and what they're actually doing now is they're actually retroactively looking through a lot of these wallets and a lot of these transactions to make sure that these people are actual real users as opposed to people just farming the token airdrop. So I would say right now, the best way for anyone to just participate in hopes of getting an airdrop is definitely use some type of application on top of Arbitrum, Starkware, zkSync, as well as for Optimism. This is just to note the first airdrop of potentially more down the road. So again, the first 5% of the 19%. So I would definitely say definitely check that out. and have a use. And I would just want to mention, I think it's good to also note a major issue is that a lot of people talk about if things move on to layer two, right? Where does the potential value accrual come into play? Because everyone thinks of Ethereum as the fact that for you to transact on Ethereum, you have to pay gas, and as a result, that's how Ethereum basically gains value, right? Because
Yeah.
it has certain demand associated with the token and the fee burning, et cetera, et cetera. And if you think about it, right, as more and more applications are built on these layer twos, right, the value accrual is not as clear because, as I mentioned, right, with rollups, what they do is they, process a lot of these verifications off chain, and then they batch it to, process, just a minor component of it on chain. So if that's the case, right, technically, a lot of this work and a lot of this processing is done on these layer twos as opposed to on Ethereum itself. So in the longer term, I think this is a question that has been kind of posed up, and I think there's not a lot of answers yet. But the question is, right, if layer two start to gain significant amount of adoption, and the majority of the applications are run through the layer two, will the layer two be, technically accruing more value as opposed to Ethereum itself? Because again, of the fact that, the fees associated with it is mainly, done on top as opposed to being on the base layer of the layer one. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that because of the fact that, I think, as some of you might be aware, there was previously a thesis called the Fat Protocol thesis, where basically they said, all types of value that is generated on top of a layer one accrues to it because end of the day, you don't, if you think about it, like if I'm an Apple app store, I don't really care what type of apps are being built in the Apple App Store as long as I have that ecosystem. Technically, me as an application, me as App Store, I don't really care what kind of application I get all the value accrued. But I think the difference is for blockchains, it's a little bit different in a sense where the application can be technically multi-chain, right? So for example, Google Maps does not have to just be on Google or the Android store. It can also be on the Apple Store. It could be on any type of mobile store. So as more and more of this value potentially is I would say chain agnostic because of the fact that this application can run on a number of different base layer protocols. This is exactly what you're seeing with Aave, where they've expanded just from their home native layer one of Ethereum to Avalanche, Arbitrum, a bunch of different ones, right? So if that's the case, right, I think longer term, definitely the question to be raised is whether or not the value accrual will stay on Ethereum. And I think as part of this thesis, in terms of investing, definitely OP and these layer twos would probably gain a significant amount of this attention and value accrual. So that's why I think a lot of people right now in the crypto markets are very hyped up about this OP token launch because it is the first one of these layer twos to launching its own token. And yeah, as you asked, I think definitely everyone will probably have a token sometime in probably next 12 months. I think ZK has already made aware of everyone. I think back a while ago that they are going to be launching a token. So definitely keep an eye out, and definitely Huobi as a platform has been supporting Arbitrum and Optimism in terms of connectivity for a while now. So we will also be supporting this OP token launch, which I think right now everyone's expecting it to be actually sometime later today, but we haven't heard any news so far, so it remains to be seen. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out for this. So.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next topic.
Yeah. So okay. So moving on to a more, I would say, more of a kind of a drama that's been going on in the last week or so is the discussion of YGG and Merit Circle. So YGG is Yield Guild Games. These two projects are gaming guilds. So for the people that are not aware, YGG, just to give a quick background, is basically the largest gaming guild for Axie Infinity. I think they've been with Axie from close to day one in terms of bootstrapping and helping grow that ecosystem and community of active users. And they've basically, over the last year, grown to basically the largest guild, gaming guild in crypto right now. And Merit Circle actually launched late in Q4 last year, where they're also another gaming guild and was, with also Axie as one of the main target games that they are, contributing and being a part of. And I think with that background said, right? So the drama really came about just like a week and a half ago, where a community member proposed in the DAO governance forum about the fact that they're basically accusing YGG of not adding a significant amount of value, despite the fact that YGG invested in Merit Circle's initial seed round. And basically, what the proposal, to summarize the proposal, that basically they're accusing them of not contributing, even though they're part of the initial seed round investors, where I guess it was implied that they would have to have some sort of contribution outside of just helping finance the seed round. As a result, basically the proposal laid out how a bunch of other different VCs and investors contributed, and just highlight that YGG did not. And basically, what they have asked was, because of the fact that they did not contribute, they wanted to revoke YGG's initial investment and basically pay them back the initial capital and not give them the amount of tokens that was actually allocated to them. And this is significant because of the fact that I think the Merit Circle seed round was, I think, in the pennies. And I think last I checked, Merit Circle, despite the fact that right now, I think with the bear market, Merit Circle is still trading around a buck, right? So I mean, technically, it's still a 20, probably a good 20-25x. And so this is the main, I would say, major issue. And I think a lot of crypto natives are actually looking at this pretty in-depthly because of the fact that if I'm an investor and I invested in a seed round, can a DAO community member potentially propose through governance and vote me out and basically repay my initial seed investment by accusing me whether I actually actually added value? So I think this is a pretty interesting first case study of this, because of the fact that it's if this actually came about and actually happened, and they were actually successfully able to overturn YGG's initial investment and push them back and basically give them back their money, then it would set a significant precedence, right? For if I'm a seed investor, potentially down the road, if things go bad, people might hold me to hold my feet to the fires, right? So this was a really, I would say, a dramatic turn of events for the community, because of the fact that I would say everyone did not expect this. So what had happened afterwards was, of course, YGG issued a statement basically highlighting the actual significant amount of work that they've kind of contributed and added value, and listed a number of different ways, like introduce a number of different investors, help Merit Circle get into seed rounds of different other gaming projects, et cetera, et cetera. So eventually, this kind of debacle was kind of I would say right now at this point in time seems settled. But again, I think the question raised is, can potentially DAO DAO structure overturn agreements that might be signed by the legal entity that was used to initially start up the DAO itself, right? So definitely a very interesting topic, and I would say I think with the DAO structure and how we're still doing a lot of digging in terms of figuring out how this type of structure might work in terms of organizing and forming a collective group of people to operate something. Definitely a interesting case study. So
Yeah, I think the outcome of this event will show like how much power does DAOs actually have. And I think in the future there should be some additional laws or regulations that helps to protect the power or enhance the power of DAOs.
yeah, And then, yeah, I guess it's also good to just take a quick step back, right? So DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organizations, right? So technically, right now, there's no real law that kind of covers it because as a decentralized organization where there's technically quasi no leader involved, like who do you prosecute, right? If anything actually happens, because in this type of entity, compared to like a traditional limited liability company where there's the company has to answer for whatever rules and regulations there are, or if it's an individual they have to answer to the same thing. In a decentralized autonomous organization, there's technically no one person or entity that you can pinpoint to that is in charge. So that is, I guess, a question to really be observing. I think definitely in the next few years we'll see a lot more crafting of regulation to really drill in and understand how to kind of define whether or not you're a true DAO, or whether or not certain insiders actually have ownership, or is pinpointed as the person to focus on. So I think this is definitely remains to be seen, but interesting case.
So let's move on to some NFT updates. And
Yeah.
so the hottest NFT this week it still remains to be Goblintown. And this is probably due to Sandbox sweeping 10 goblins at around 1 Ethereum. And ever since that, the floor price of goblins have climbed from 1 ETH to around 2.8 ETH. So, and their Goblintown's second Twitter space had 80K people tuned in, which is a lot in terms as Goblintown is only a 10K profile pic collection. So during last episode, we have mentioned about the NFT hype cycle and how many hyped up projects have failed to maintain the public's interest after a few weeks. But the team behind Goblintown seems to be aware of that. And at the moment, they are still doing a very good job at maintaining people's interest. They have unique storylines of their Goblin IP. So first of all, they have a legendary Goblin Egg NFT. The NFT started as a Goblin Egg, then it was smashed, and then now being enchanted by figures like witches and unicorns. So this led to a lot of discussions and guesses about how this egg will turn out to be. And secondly, they also have a Mac Goblin burger story. So where goblins will get a burger airdrop for free. And so I think having interesting narratives and events is how project teams build anticipation and maintains the public's interest in their projects. So if
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I
so
mean, yeah, definitely. I think for Goblintown, interesting cases. I think as you mentioned last week, right? It really is about talking about capturing, I think the narrative and audience right now for NFTs, because of the fact that right now, because of the bear market, there's not a lot much going on. I think there's a meme going on as we talked about last week, where we're in Goblin Town, where it's basically not a place you want to be. I think having this pinpoint of a story that came out from these last few weeks definitely really helped.
yeah, and if their burger airdrop um expands the collection size, I think the no collection will be a good entry point for buyers who want to join in the Goblin community, but cannot afford the 2.8 floor price right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think for again NFTs right now, it's all a narrative game, right? Where if you think about it, it's kind of the purest form of attention capture. At any point in time for any NFTs, if you're able to capture a significant amount of the audience, and the investment capital that is flowing through the crypto NFT markets, I think that is what led to Goblin Town, being as successful as it is compared to other projects, just mainly due to the fact that they saw the right opportunity at the right time, to captivate their audience, and as a result, you're seeing a floor price of over 2 ETH. So
Yeah. And I think another reason for Goblintown to be this successful was that it is a CC0 project. CC0 stands for Creative Commons license, meaning that the IP is open to the public and no one has actual ownership. So, and Goblins being CC0 helps, I think it helps its community to promote their the Goblintown through creating derivative art works and merchandises. So again, capturing the public's attention. And but many people argues that CC zeros is a double-edged sword because um, people will not be able to benefit from the IP's license to make money, nor they can protect their IP from malicious uses, such as promoting violence or crimes, and therefore damaging the IP's image. But I think after all, I think CC Real is good for the project's development in the long term, as they give creative and commercial freedom to anyone that wants to help to build content and build out the IP.
So I'm just
So
curious, Hanson, just to quickly interrupt. Just curious, comparing CZ0, I guess, to, the other more famous projects like a CryptoPunks or Bored Apes, what kind of standard do they have? And, is this the main reason why they generate significant value accrual, in addition to capturing the audience, or, is it something else?
I think at the moment, I think the license for apes owners and punks owners is only it is in a licensing agreement contract, which means that only the NFT owner has the rights to
So they have
commercialize
the
that.
IP basically. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but only for the NFT owners. But for CC0 owners, nobody has the IP, and somebody else, anyone can actually use your NFT for commercial purposes. So if you have watched the trailer for the other side, the Bored Ape metaverse game, NFT of Crypto Toes actually showed up in the trailer, and that specific toe is not owned by the other side, is not owned by Yoga Labs, but they are still able to use that NFT in their trailers, since because it is a CC0 license. And
Interesting. I mean, so I guess, if you think about it, I mean, me just thinking out loud, right? So in a CC0 setting, it's more of like a public good where basically, if anyone can technically use it, I would argue it's kind of like a networking effect thing. If enough people use it and know about it, then technically, I guess the value accrual can technically come from the fact that because it becomes even more widely spread and adopted, even though they might not have the specific IP rights, because of the fact that they own the original NFT, and the awareness of these projects potentially can exponentiate because of the fact that anyone can use it, then technically because of this, if the project is able to emerge successfully, they're actually able to potentially, I would say, gain even more value because of the fact that more people will know about it. And at the end of the day, right, if it's an attention game, if more people know about it and know about your project, then potentially that might be the value accrual.
yeah, I do agree. It's just like most of the house, like most of the household names of famous literature artwork is in is is some form of CC0 licensing. So for example, like Shakespeare or Three Little Women, or I think Sherlock Holmes, they're all Creative Commons licenses, which where anyone and any production firms can use the IPs to create their own versions of the plays or the movies.
Yeah, no, I think this is pretty powerful because this is again, I think I want to drive home the point that because of the fact that this is a crypto native standard where an NFT has value, right? And technically ZZ0, but based on the Web 2.0 or the previous iterations of media, right? If you're Snow White or whatever, that story by itself can be replicated and duplicated by anyone, and has no inherent value because of the fact that anyone can use it. But because of the fact that NFT technically, is a unique identifier of that certain asset, even though I would say the rights are able to be freely adopted and used, you still have some sort of value attached to it. Versus if because no one technically owns Snow White, you can't really price and associate value to it. But because in the NFT form you can, I think this is why longer term this will probably be a pretty interesting novel concept in the NFT space, not just from a artist, not just from a JPEG standpoint, but maybe from a movie or a storyline, anything can potentially, see that because for crypto, it's all about the network adoption and the, the network and the size of the adoption being seen. So.
Yeah, and anyone who values originality will definitely buy into this kind of OG CC0 NFTs. So moving on to next topic, we have StepN. And a few days ago, the price of GMT have dropped like nearly 40%, following the news that StepN will ban users, not ban, StepN will ban GPS service for users from China starting July due to regulatory issues. Although Stefan stated that Chinese users only accounted for 5% of the user base, I believe that the number is an underestimation, as many Chinese users uses VPN to change their IP address. And Stefan's run to earn economics model highly depends on the price stability of their two tokens. And when volatility is high, new users will be less certain to buy NFT sneakers to run and join the ecosystem. So, and moreover, existing users will tend to dump newly earned tokens immediately on the market, since they would like to stay away from the volatility. And together with less buying pressure from new buyers and more selling pressure from existing users, I think that the price of Stefan's sneaker NFTs and its two tokens will face a difficult time ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so I think this is an important thing to note about crypto projects in general, especially for these, X to earn type scenarios where technically, in crypto, I think what you see is there's a significant amount of reflexivity that happens with a asset or a project that gains adoption. Because if you think about it, right, as StepN gains more and more users, the demand for the token increases exponentially because as one person buys one pair of shoes and mints, and then sells it, and then more and more people do the same and they want to mint more and more shoes, then technically the demand exponentiates on the way up, right? So as a result, that's why you saw a significant move of the the GMT price, right, from I think it was what 10 cents at launch to a high of around $4, right? And this is mainly due to the fact that initially, there's only a certain amount of supply and it's constricted. And as more and more people want to go in, it's like a big funnel, right? Where if you funnel in a bunch of people into only a certain amount of token supply that's available, it drives up the price significantly. But however, once you start to see a critical mass or a significant amount of people enter into a game like a StepN, the question is to further push up the price or the marginal demand for the token, you need even more incremental demand, or basically even more users to adopt StepN, right? So again, like I said, right, the number that is needed exponentiates because technically initially when you start off with only a few thousand, you only need tens of thousands to adopt. But when you have tens of thousands, you need hundreds of thousands of people to adopt, and so on and so forth, to really continue the price pressure to keep the token at a certain price. Because of the fact that the existing users, all of them, want to cash in, right? So they want to profit from the fact that they're walking and earning this token, and they've already minted in a significant amount of pairs of shoes or whatnot. I think the average that I saw was like 8. For power users, it wait nine pairs of shoes, right? So, and once that number starts peaking, in terms of the number of shoes per user, that's where I think the question begins of if there's not a significant amount of demand that further pushes it up on the way down. If you think about it, it reflexively went up. Then, of course, on the way down, it also can be a reflexive way down because of the fact that a significant amount of users now want to start cashing out. However, it is reliant on the fact that you need new users. And when the amount of new users, even though it's still growing, only grows marginally, the amount of sell pressure from all these people want to cash out and basically lock in, their GMT tokens in cash or USD, basically causes a significantly more amount of sell pressure because everyone's has the opinion that if I don't sell now, it's going to go down lower, et cetera, et cetera. So they sell, and basically they cause this feedback loop of the fact that I think that's what we've seen so far with the fact that the StepN price has cratered most recently because of the fact that the demand has not picked up significantly in an exponential fashion to keep it up. And I think for any type of game with this type of tokenomics, it's basically whether or not you're able to create enough of demand within the game to keep it self-sustaining. And I think that's the main question that a lot of games are still trying to answer right now. And I think StepN, of course, will be developing its own internal game sinks to make sure that the tokens are not bleeding out of the ecosystem and being used back into the game. So it definitely remains to be seen. But yeah, I think right now, I think some of you might be aware, like, right, for StepN, a lot of people were gaming it, right? Where I saw videos on Twitter and online where, a number, like someone had 10 phones, in a car and basically was driving around really slowly to try to game the system, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of that happening, a lot of that, potential, like, not so good actors within the game. And if for those people, once they start seeing that the price is dropping and they want to monetize and cash out, definitely I would, be a wait and see mode to see how the dust cap settles in that situation. So.
Okay, so moving on to some news about Huobi Exchange. We have 2 tokens to offer this week.
Yeah, so two tokens that will be launching, I think, on Huobi. I think last week we did talk about Meta Visa. So Meta Visa is a protocol that allows you to establish and display reliable on-chain identity and credit records, basically making it easy for you to go through DeFi, NFT, GameFi, and basically serve as the crypto native credit score system. So in addition to that, we also have a new token this week. It's called Berry. So Berry Store basically has a goal of creating a global network platform for fans. Basically, what they're trying to do is work with celebrities and companies in terms of offering high value add items based on their influence to the fans, and basically from there. Make some automatic donations to charities and organizations and such. So these are the 2 tokens to be launched. Again, as mentioned at the very beginning, none of this is investment advice. Please do your own research on these new tokens, and definitely be on the lookout. So that said, let's move on.
Okay, so to accompany the new coin listings, Huobi has launched a Candydrop event for its users, and users with an average spot trading volume above 100 USDT of any digital assets for the last 3 days can register for the event. And Candydrop tokens will be randomly allocated to registered users, and winners will receive the token for free, and USDT will deliver to their spot accounts within 12 hours. So participants can win up to 100 USDT per entry and up to 1,500 USDT per week. We will be also airdropping a Candydrop double coupon to participants who did not win anything. Using the coupon will double your chances to win in the next any drop. And you can stack your coupons to a winning chance of 100%. And furthermore, for each event, one lucky star winner will get a grand prize of 1,000 USDT. And you can go on to the Huobi app and click on the new listing event page to find out more. So today we have invited one of our Candydrop Lucky Star winners to share with you about his experiences participating in Candydrop. And we'll try to reach him now. And after the interview, we'll also release the airdrop password for today.
Yeah. So, taking this time, again, everyone, be sure to just leave your question in the live chat. We'll go through them and answer a few of them after this Candydrop event. So, again, be sure to leave your questions and then we'll get to them later.
Okay, so hi, congratulations on winning 1,000 USDT in our Candydrop event. And we'll have some questions to ask you about you and your experience with Huobi. So, so how long have you been using Huobi to trade coins?
About 1 year, I think.
Okay, so how has your experience using Huobi as a trading platform has been?
Well, I've been trading with Huobi since I started trading crypto. I've got used to trade with this crypto exchange. My experience with Huobi always been terrific. It's easy to use and can meet all my trading needs. I also noticed that with regular updates, the Huobi app is getting better and better, which is great.
Okay, so how did you find out about Candydrop?
On the Huobi platform, many of my trade friends are also participating and talking about these events.
Nice. So how often do you participate in this Candydrop event?
I've joined almost all of them because I enjoy trading tokens and I can easily meet the threshold of daily average trading value of 100 USDT.
So why do you participate in Candydrop?
I think Candydrop is a very good program. The highlight of using Huobi. First, Candydrop events give me a chance to win newly listed tokens for free, and these projects are of high quality. Second, Candydrop events boost faster new listings, simple and clear rules, the low threshold requirements. They are also beginners friendly and offer huge prize pools. Plus, I'm very impressed with the newly launched Lucky Star events and the Candydrop double chance compounds. That's because everyone can get something from the events. For users who are not lucky enough to win any rewards this time, with this double chance compound, they will have a greater chance to win next time.
Okay, so why are you attracted to Candydrop?
There are a few good reasons for me to participate in Candydrop. First, these events offer a wide range of new listings, so I can get a chance to win high-quality token airdrops. This could generate strong wealth effect. Second, these events are held very often. They have low threshold requirements. They are easy to participate in, with generous prize pools too. Third, compared with rewards programs provided by other exchanges, Candydrop can better serve my needs to obtain new tokens. This is one of the reasons why I've been trading with Huobi. I'm thrilled to be the Candydrop lucky star this time. I hope there will be more to come.
And did you win any other prizes in Candydrop before, and how much are they worth?
Yeah, of course. I've been lucky lately. I've won 3 or 4 times with a total value of about 300 USDT.
Okay, and for Candydrop, like which aspects of Candydrop can be improved?
I personally focus more on projects, so I hope more popular tokens will be introduced.
Okay, so what do you think about Candydrop's advertising?
I think they are very good, and I've been reminded to join the events on time.
And lastly, would you recommend Candydrop to others?
Sure, have already recommended to many of my trade friends. They also participate in these events almost every time.
It's nice to hear that, and I hope your friends will win big as well. And I would like to thank you for coming to this Q&A session. And I believe that everyone now has a better understanding of the Candydrop event. And thank you for your time. I wish you for the best. So now we will announce our Candydrop password for today's live stream. Again, to participate, you have to have an average transaction volume of 100 USDT in the past 3 days. Then you need to retweet our Candydrop event Twitter post, follow Huobi Research on Twitter, and use the airdrop password I like Candydrop in the Google Docs form. So yeah. So Jack, for the Q&A section.
Yep. So just taking a look through the questions in the chat, I think mainly revolving around the OP token launch. So I think the first question was, will Huobi be supporting this token? Definitely yes. So as soon as the public details are made known about when the initial airdrop and token supply is released, basically, I think Huobi will have some special events to be announced, basically on incentivizing people to drop their tokens with Huobi and basically trade on the Huobi platform. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And then on the second part, I think I saw a question about just the initial total supply of the OP tokens. So initially, the initial total supply of the OP tokens is around, I think, 4.3 billion. Of that, basically around 30% of it will be unlocked on day one. So, as just a quick reminder, 5% of the token supply will be airdropped to people that qualify based on the requirements that we had earlier. If you guys just want to make sure and check on your eligibility, definitely just go on the Optimism.io website and you guys can plug in your MetaMask wallet just to take a look and see if you guys qualify. So I think with that, I think this concludes the weekly market chat. Hanson, do you have anything to add?
Nope.
All right, thank you, everyone. So be sure to check us out. Again, just to repeat, you guys can follow us at Huobi_research on Twitter, or follow our articles at huobiresearch.medium.com, and definitely follow us here on a weekly basis, every Tuesday. So see you guys next week.
Yeah, see you guys.